Hello, so we are going to write our very first Python program. And if you've done this enough times, if you learned any other languages before, usually we call the first program that we write in particular language Hello World. So I'm going to follow that tradition. Okay, so we're going to write the Python programs using PyCharm. Now, um, I assume you already install Python and PyCharm. There's really nothing to configure for PyCharm. Most of PyCharm's default settings are very good, and we can just use those as they are for this class. So that saves you a lot of work. That's one of the many reasons that PyCharm is very good. Okay, so I'm just going to bring up PyCharm. PyCharm. And again, I'm using a Mac, but as soon as we get into PyCharm, most things should look the same between either PyCharm or PyCharm on Windows and PyCharm on Mac. And I'm using a slightly older version of PyCharm, but I don't think it should make any difference. So when you first run PyCharm, on the left-hand side, it usually have a bunch of recent projects. But you probably if it's a new PyCharm installation for you, you probably don't have anything here. So you can just go ahead and create a new project. Excuse me. Now, a couple of things to know. You probably, I would actually recommend that you create a new project for every lecture and every new assignment. So, and you can put all of these projects into a single folder or directory that's that belongs to this class to keep things organized. So since this is gonna be for lecture 01A, I assume, I'm just gonna call it that. And then another thing that you want to make sure, particularly on a Mac, is that you want to use the Python 3. Because again, if you remember previously on a Mac, the default Python is 2.0. So you have to know where your Python 3 is. And typically, if you follow the instruction that I put in the errata, the location of Python 3 is in user local bin Python 3. If yours is different, browse and figure out where it is. Okay, and I believe it's simpler on Windows, but again, if you run into any problems or anything, post in the discussion forum and we can figure it out together. So after you specify where you want to create your new project and making sure that you use Python 3 interpreter, you can create a new project and it's going to do a few things. Creating a virtual environment, don't worry about that right now. And it'll give you some tips, and actually some of these tips are very good. You might want to read them. There are a lot of productivity shortcuts and whatnot in PyCharm that hopefully over time you can pick them. All right, I'm just going to close this. I am actually going to use the use the whole screen for PyCharm. All right, so here's your screen for PyCharm. And this is just your project. You haven't created any Python scripts yet. So in order to create a Python code you want to create a Python file. And in order to do that, come to this project that you just created. On a Windows, you right click on your mouse. On a Mac, you do 2-finger click. That brings up the context sensitive menu, and you do a new. Don't create a new file, create a new Python file. Okay, and you can give it a name. I'm going to call it hello world. And I'll say okay. And um, here we open an editor window for typing your first Python code. So the hello world program is really simple. It just literally just prints out the string hello world. So I'm going to actually do print. So in order to print something to the screen, you type print. It's as simple as that. And I am going to say I'm going to print hello world. And that's it. That's our program. All right. And now once you have this program, you can run it. In order to run it, you either right click on Windows or two finger click on Mac to bring up another little menu, and you can say run hello world. Okay, so I'm just going to run it, and that's it. It runs, and it literally just prints out this string. Ignore this line for now. This is the Python command that it used to run your code. And also you can ignore this. This is the process exit code, or we don't have to worry about that right now. So it's just a thing between the first line and the last line that's printed by your program. All right. So let me go back to my slides, make sure I don't forget to say anything. Yeah, this is PyCharm, create a new project, and yes, if you you can also create a new project. If you have this window of PyCharm, you can go to File and you can create new project, and they will bring up that same create project dialog box that we saw earlier. All right, and yes, again, make sure you use the Python 3 interpreter. Okay, this is how you create a new Python file once you created a project. And yes, this is how you run it. And here's the output. Okay, so I'm going to show just a few more things about the Python Hello World program. So one of the things that going to be very useful is, especially when you write more complex code, is to just write some English comments about what you're doing. Well, actually, before we even talk about comments, I just want to say that this line of code, this one line of code, is an executable statement. It's what's called an executable statement here. It's an executable statement. It is something that the Python interpreter will actually execute. Okay. Now, there are lines that are non-executable, and those are comments. Okay, and comments can start with a sharp or hash sign. Okay, and you can write whatever. Let's say, I'm going to say this is my very first Python program. So anything after the sharp, Python is just going to ignore. So you can write anything here. It doesn't matter. Okay. There's another type of, oh, actually, I'm sorry. So this is the comment, but let me say a few, some more things about the executable statement. So the very first thing you notice is we say print. So what print is a built-in Python function that literally print things to the screen, as we just saw. So Python has quite a few built-in functions. Print is probably one of the most important ones. You're going to be using that a lot. What a function, you call a function by giving it its name. and then followed by a pair of parentheses. Okay, and inside the parentheses, you give it what's called the arguments. In this case, print takes one argument, and this argument is the thing between the matching quotes. And anything between matching quotes, they are called string literals. So this thing is going to get printed out as it is. Okay. And obviously, all of these parentheses and again quotes, they need to have matching, open parentheses and close parentheses, or open quotes and close quotes. Okay. I think that's all I want to say about an executable statement. Yeah, print is a Python function. We are going to learn a lot more other Python functions. Functions takes arguments. There's one in this case. And then anything between quotes are string literals. All right. And then, yes, comments is anything after sharp. And they are ignored by Python interpreter. And then the last thing that I want to show you is another form of comments, and they are called actually docstrings. So these comments, you start by typing 3 double quotes. So 1, 2, 3. And as you notice, once I type 3 of them, PyCharm automatically type another 3 for me, and those are the closing triple quotes. So anything that I put between anything that I put between an open triple quote and closed triple quotes are things, again, that are mostly ignored by Python. Okay, so again, you can type whatever you want to type here. You can say again, I'm just going to copy this. This is my first Python program, etc., etc. You can literally write a novel here if you want to, and Python interpreter will just totally ignore that. So, I can run this program again. So, again, to run this program, you can bring up the menu, and then it'll run again. Well, doesn't really do anything because it does exactly the same thing. I'm going to run this one more time. These things, again, docstring or comments, they do not affect how the program is run. Okay? And yeah, this is the docstring. This is what's called a docstring. And one more thing I want to show you is obviously a single print statement is not very useful. It's useful for demonstration purpose. You can obviously have multiple statements. So I can have another print and say, hello world again. And the same thing for comments, and you can write another comment. This is another comment, or multiple lines inside the docstring. Another line in the docstring. Okay, right. So, and if I run this, it will print out 2 lines now, because I tell it to print hello world, and then I tell it to print hello world again. Right, and again, these comments and docstrings, they are ignored by the Python interpreter. One thing I want to say about multiple statements is they are executed from top to bottom. So you notice, actually, these are line numbers. So line number 9, whatever's in line number 9 gets executed before line number 10. Okay, that's why hello world is above hello world again. Okay, let's see. Hopefully I have everything. Yes, there are multiple lines of docstring, multiple lines of comments, and multiple lines of statements. And for now, the statements are executed from top to bottom. That will change once we get to flow control in a couple weeks. So, okay. All right. So now that I've shown you how to write your first Python program, here's what you should do today, tomorrow, soon. Okay. So go on Canvas and read the modules week 1A. They are here. Yeah, well, definitely 1R since you need that for to set up Python and PyCharm. Then you should read 1A. You can go on and try to read 1B. I'm going to record another video for 1B and post it soon, tomorrow or latest Wednesday. And then just just type up the hello world program. Make sure you can run it and it shows the proper output. This would also verify that you install Python 3 and PyCharm correctly. And then I would like you to do a little variant on the hello world program. Maybe you can just use multiple print statements on multiple lines to print out something that you like, maybe your favorite poem, maybe, I don't know, print out the strings, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, all the way to Saturday. Print out a few things, get a feel on the whole process of creating the project, creating a file, write a few lines of code, and then run it. And then perhaps, also try to write some comments about the projects or the Python code that you write. So yep, that's it for now. And I will record another video for more complex code in a bit.